I never thought I'd be the guy writing this kind of story, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 7 years now. We met in college, got married young, and everything seemed fine, or at least I thought it did. Looking back, there were little signs that something was off, but I guess I was too comfortable, too trusting to notice them at first. She'd sometimes be secretive with her phone, but she'd brush it off with a sarcastic comment or call me paranoid. Our anniversary was coming up, which I thought was a good chance to plan something special, just us, a dinner at that fancy place we'd always talked about. I wanted to remind her of how much I loved her, how we were still good, still solid. But I started noticing little things a few days before. Her phone screen lighting up at odd times, her brushing off my questions about her day, her being a little snappier with me than usual. Nothing huge, just enough to make me feel uneasy. I told myself maybe I was overthinking it. I mean, I'd seen her flirt with her boss at work, but she always told me it was innocent, just work banter. That's what she said when I caught her deleted messages. Just work, Mike, nothing more. The night of our anniversary, I was excited. I had booked us a table at that restaurant downtown, the one with the view of the city skyline. I'd even bought her a little gift, nothing fancy, just a necklace I knew she'd like. We got dressed, and she looked beautiful as always. But something felt wrong. She was more impatient than usual, checking her phone every few minutes, even during the car ride. I brushed it off, trying to keep the mood light. We had champagne, laughter, the usual toasts. I thought maybe everything's okay, maybe I'm just imagining things. After dinner, we decided to walk a bit, enjoy the night air. That's when I noticed her purse was a little heavier than it should have been. I didn't even have to think twice. I reached in. Curiosity got the better of me. I pulled out a hotel key card, just sitting there in her purse. My stomach sank. I didn't even know what I was expecting to find, but I knew this wasn't good. Then I remembered. The messages I'd seen her delete on her phone, hidden conversations, flirtatious texts, just enough to make me question everything. I kept my cool, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to find out something I'd regret. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was stacking up. That night, I started digging through her phone more thoroughly. I wasn't snooping because I wanted to invade her privacy. I was desperate to know what was really going on. And what I found, well, it was worse than I could have imagined. I spent the next few hours obsessively scrolling through her messages, trying to find some shred of innocence in her words, but it was impossible. Every few minutes I'd come across new proof, flirtatious exchanges, late-night texts, pictures she'd sent and received. The worst part was how she'd always deny anything when I'd bring it up, calling me jealous or insecure. She'd even get bitchy about it, telling me I was overreacting and that I had trust issues. But how could I trust her when I saw those messages? How could I trust her when she was lying straight to my face? I remember feeling this cold, sick weight in my stomach. I'd never felt this betrayed before. I'd always been faithful, honest, and straightforward, and she'd always seemed like the same. But now everything was a lie. I saw the messages where she was talking about late nights at work, about her boss, Mark, saying things like, "Can't wait to see you tonight," or "You're the only one who understands me." It was clear she'd been sneaking around behind my back for weeks, maybe longer. And that hotel key card. Yeah, that confirmed she'd been somewhere with him, probably more than once. I couldn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat on the couch, wide awake, staring at her phone, her messages, the hotel key card. The anger inside me boiled over. How could she lie so easily? How could she pretend everything was fine? I kept asking myself what I did wrong, why she'd do this. I kept thinking about the nights I came home late from work, the little lies she told about her day, the way she'd avoid eye contact sometimes. She'd always been bitchy when I questioned her, snapping at me like I was the one at fault. That only made me more furious. Finally, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to confront her. That night, I waited until she came home from her work event, which I now knew was a lie. I was sitting on the bed when she walked in, looking her usual bitchy self, a little defensive. I asked her outright about the hotel key, the messages, everything. Her eyes widened for a split second, then she rolled hers and waved her hand dismissively. "It's not what you think, Mike. Just work stuff like I told you. It's not a big deal." I looked at her and saw the same attitude she always had when she was caught in a lie, defensive, dismissive, like she was better than me for bothering to ask. But I wasn't buying it. I told her I knew she was cheating, that I saw the messages, the hotel key. That's when she got really bitchy, raising her voice, saying I was paranoid, that I was accusing her over nothing. She called me crazy, jealous, and even said I was insecure. But to me, it was crystal clear. She was lying and I was sick of her lies. I told her I didn't want to fight, that I just needed some time to think about everything. She scoffed and stormed off, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the terrible feeling that my marriage was falling apart. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was racing, replaying everything I'd uncovered the night before. I couldn't believe Lisa had been lying to me all this time, sneaking around with her boss, Mark. It felt like my whole world was crumbling. Even now, I kept thinking about that damn hotel key card, tucked away in her purse like some sick trophy. I was furious, but at the same time heartbroken. How did I miss all the signs? Was I so blind that I couldn't see she was cheating? I knew I had to face her again. I couldn't let her keep lying, keep pretending everything was normal while she was sneaking off to see him. I decided I'd confront her once and for all. No more hiding, no more pretending. I waited until she left for work, which I knew was a lie, and that's when I started planning my next move. I didn't want to be impulsive, but I also didn't want her to get away with this. I needed to get some solid proof, something that would shut her down. While she was gone, I took her phone, her laptop, and her purse. I knew it was risky, but I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. I started digging into her messages again, looking for anything I might have missed. And then it hit me. She deleted some messages, but I found remnants of them in her trash folders, hidden app data, or even in backups I managed to access. She thought she was clever, but I knew her tricks. I found a string of texts between her and Mark that confirmed everything. Plans to meet up after hours, coded language about work emergencies, endless excuses to hide what they were really doing. I felt sick reading it all, but I also felt a strange sense of victory. I had what I needed. I knew she'd lied to me repeatedly and that she'd been cheating on me for who knows how long. The feeling of betrayal was overwhelming. I was angry, hurt, and honestly a little scared. I'd been with Lisa for so long, I never imagined she'd do something like this. I kept asking myself how I could have missed the signs, how I was so blind to her bitchy attitude, her dismissiveness, her sudden mood swings. When she finally returned that evening, I was ready. My heart was pounding, but I kept my cool. As soon as she stepped inside, I confronted her directly. I told her I knew everything about the messages, the hotel, the lies. Her face twisted into a look of pure annoyance, like she thought she could just brush it off. She snapped at me, called me paranoid again, told me I was overreacting, that she was just working late for her boss, that she swore she didn't cheat, that it was just sex with him, nothing more. She said I was insecure, that I was imagining things, that I was making up stories because I didn't trust her. I looked straight at her and told her she was full of shit. That I saw the messages, that I found the hotel key, that she'd been lying the entire time. Her bitchy attitude only worsened. She started calling me names, saying I was crazy and jealous, and that I was just trying to ruin everything because I was insecure. But I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. I told her I was done, that I couldn't stay married to someone who lied and cheated behind my back, that I'd had enough of her bullshit. She stormed out of the room, claiming I was overreacting, that I was making a mistake. But honestly, I felt relief too. I'd finally confronted her, and I knew I couldn't keep lying to myself. After that confrontation, everything changed. The house felt colder, emptier. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to cry, scream, or just crawl into a hole and disappear. The betrayal hit me harder than I thought possible. I'd always prided myself on being loyal, honest, a good husband. And now, I felt like a fool. Lisa's bitchy attitude, her dismissiveness, it all made sense in a sick way. She had been playing me for months, maybe longer, while she screwed around with her boss, Mark. I spent the next few days in a fog. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying every moment of our relationship, trying to find some reason or explanation. But the truth was plain, she didn't love me anymore, not in the way I loved her. She was just using me, or maybe she never really cared. The thought made me sick. I'd been so blind, so naive, thinking that the little signs, her secretive behavior, her bitchy attitude were just stress or work stuff. But they were something else entirely. I started to think about what I should do. Should I fight for the marriage? Or was it already over? I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I couldn't live in a relationship built on lies. But I also didn't want to be the guy who throws everything away without trying. So I decided I'd give her one chance to come clean, to tell me the truth outright. If she refused or lied again, I knew what the decision had to be. I couldn't keep living in this pain, but I also didn't want to give up without trying. I called her that evening, and I could hear the bitchy edge in her voice even over the phone. She told me she was done with the drama, that she was tired of me accusing her of things she didn't do. I told her I knew she cheated, that I saw the messages, the hotel key, everything. Her response: she just snorted and said she was tired of my accusations, that I was insecure and jealous. She insisted it was nothing, that she loved me, but that I was just overreacting, blaming her for something she didn't do. I felt like I was talking to a wall, like she was trying to gaslight me into doubting myself. That night, I felt pretty broken. I was angry at her, furious that she could lie so brazenly, and sad because I still cared about her, even after everything. I kept thinking about how much I'd lost, how much I'd trusted her, only to be blindsided like this. But beneath all that, I knew I had to do something. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know the truth, even if it meant losing her forever. I had to decide whether I'd stay and try to fix this, or walk away and start over. The pain was unbearable, but I also knew I couldn't go back to that illusion of a marriage that was already dead inside. In the days that followed, I felt like I was walking through a nightmare. Every time I looked at her, I could see the bitchy, dismissive attitude that now made so much sense. The way she snapped at me, the little lies she told, everything was connected to her affair with Mark. I knew she had been cheating on me during our supposed working nights, sneaking around, hiding her phone, deleting messages, lying about her whereabouts. The hotel key was just the cherry on top. I kept thinking, how could I have been so blind? I tried to talk to her again, but she was resistant, defensive, bitchy as ever. She denied everything outright, calling me paranoid, insecure, crazy. She said I was making a mountain out of a molehill, that I was trying to ruin everything just because I was jealous. Her words stung, but I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I saw her for what she was, an unfaithful, manipulative woman who had no respect for our marriage or me. The more she lied, the more I realized I couldn't keep pretending this was just a misunderstanding or a mistake. So I made a decision. I told her I wanted her to leave, not just for tonight, but for good. I couldn't share a bed with someone who had lied and cheated for so long. I couldn't be married to someone who thought it was okay to sleep with her boss and then deny it like she was above the truth. She fought me, of course. She called me all sorts of names, said I was overreacting, that I was crazy to think she'd do something like that. But I didn't care anymore. I told her I'd had enough, that I needed space to think and heal, and that I wasn't going to be her fool anymore. She finally packed her bags and left that night, still bitchy, still full of attitude. As she slammed the door behind her, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. I knew things would never go back to how they were, but part of me was glad that I finally faced the truth, that I was no longer blind to her bullshit. I sat on the couch, staring at the empty doorway, feeling numb. The house was quiet now, but inside I was a storm of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal. I realized that I'd been living in a kind of illusion, thinking we were happy, thinking she loved me. Turns out she was just pretending the whole time. That night I slept like shit, but I knew I had made the right choice. I started to think about what I really wanted going forward. Did I want to try to fix this? Was there any hope of saving what was already broken? Or was it better to just walk away? Honestly, I still wasn't sure. All I knew was I couldn't keep living with the lies. I had to find a way to move on, even if it meant starting over from scratch. And deep down, I knew I'd never trust her again. That betrayal cut too deep, and I'd carry this pain with me for a long time. In the weeks that followed, I did my best to pick up the pieces. It wasn't easy. Every day was a struggle to resist the urge to reach out, to call her, to ask her why she did it. But I knew better than to expect an honest answer from someone who had lied so blatantly. I also figured that staying angry forever wouldn't serve me, so I started focusing on myself, going to the gym, reconnecting with friends I'd drifted from, and trying to rebuild some sense of normalcy. One thing I realized through all this is how much I'd let myself be fooled by her bitchy attitude, her manipulations. I thought I knew her, but I was just fooling myself. The truth is, Lisa never loved me as much as I thought she did. She was just with me for convenience, maybe for stability or comfort. That realization hurt like hell, but it also set me free. I didn't want to be with someone who treated me like an option, someone who lied and cheated and called me insecure when I got suspicious. I learned that trust, once broken this badly, is almost impossible to repair. I don't think I'll ever look at her the same way again. But I also learned I've got strength I didn't know I had. I could survive this, maybe even come out stronger. I don't regret confronting her or catching her in her lies. It hurt like hell, but in a way it was a wake-up call. I finally saw her for who she really was, an unfaithful, manipulative woman who didn't care about our marriage or how much she hurt me. Now I'm focusing on moving forward. I don't want to dwell on the past, but I do want to learn from it. If there's one thing I'd tell anyone going through something similar, it's this: trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs, even if you think you're overreacting. And if you find out your partner's cheating, don't waste years trying to fix something that's already broken. Cut your losses, get out, and start rebuilding your life. Because in the end, you can't force someone to love you or be faithful. The only person you really have control over is yourself. So here I am, a guy who thought he had it all figured out, now trying to find a way to heal. It's not easy, and I still have days when I feel like giving up. But I know one thing: I deserve better than someone who calls me jealous or crazy when I just want honesty. I learned that betrayal cuts deep, but it also teaches you what you won't tolerate in your life anymore. And I'll carry that lesson with me forever.